we are seeing, as you can see, many rights, a lot of set of rights. It is impossible to cover all of them in one course. That's why there are master degree, PhD, and other programs. But well, this will be an introduction for you, your career. And today we will be focused on some other rights related to the spirit, the information, especially with the information. There are many rights, no? Right to honor, right to privacy, right to a good name, reputation. Also, many rights to access to information, public information of this state. So it means that there is a relation with democracy. That's why our first topic of the lecture of today is about secrets and democracy, as you can read there. And then we will see many other rights related to the communication law. And finally, I will give you one test, and you will realize how many things you learned in this lesson. By the way, I will share today many pictures of my safari here in Kenya. You will realize why. And because, well, there is a point of connection. But in any case, let's begin with our first war. The most incredible war, the biggest war in the history of the humankind. Don't you know which it is? The Second World War, for sure you will. And probably you will remember that it began in Germany. In Germany. Well, that's interesting. But the thing that I will be focused, because in the Second World War, there were many battles around the world. But now I will be focused in one thing, one specific thing that began in the First World War, not in the second, in the first. That was, well, it's related to Germany, it was related to this man. Who is this guy? This is a scientist, Arthur Herbius of Germany, a really smart guy. At the end of the First World War, he discovered a machine that is called Enigma. There is a movie about this machine. If you want to see it, probably you will enjoy it. And he filed the patent, and after several years, he obtained that patent. He filed, I think, in 1918. In many countries, well, he got that patent, for example, in the States in 1928. But when you fill you ask the register of the patent, well, you have all the rights from that very first moment. So this is interesting because this is a new machine to give secret message, no? With encryptation, with a lot of things to secure the message between two parties. Well, it would be so interesting at that time. But remember, this is 1918. In 1918, he decided, well, to promote that as a product for the market, not for the war. It was also for the war. But many people used to use that machine, for example, for commercial communication, to secure the commercial communication, and they bought that. But the Navy of Germany, of Japan too, many around the world, many navies used also that machine, well, to transfer messages. So it was not just Germany. Many people around the world used that, even in the commercial market. So that it's interesting. But things were going worse and worse and worse between the First World War and the Second. So they realized the countries, especially Poland. Here you can see Poland, no? And here Germany. They realized that the Nazi regime appears in Germany with a lot of power, trying to, well, many battle actions. Well, seems to be that soon will be, and that's why in Poland, that was the year of the battle. Yes, in Poland, one guy appeared. Well, obviously it didn't, that machine was used, and that is Hitler, no? Hitler, with all the power of the state, hired many people of the universities to develop even more the security of this machine. So he developed many things in this machine, and improved the quality of the encryptation. So it was even if the whole world were using that machine, the machine of Hitler was quite secure, especially secure at that time. But one guy appears here in Poland. His name is Marian Rejewski. Always the Polish names are a little difficult. So what happened with that? That there was a special department in Poland in the principal square of Varsovia. You can see there how it was, because all the square was destroyed by the Germans. So it was a beautiful square, as you can see. And in somewhere there was an office to crack the Enigma machine of Hitler. And they did it. And this guy, Marian Rejewski, cracked the machine of Hitler. He was able to read all the message. Incredible, no? But the Second World War began in September 1 of 1939. And what happened this? The crack was before. So what happened there? Well, this is the year of the year of the crack, 1932. That Hitler began to improve, well, Hitler and the boys, to improve better and better the machine. And Hitler invaded. One of the first actions that he took in the Second World War was invade Poland. And you can see here the Nazi troops going to that square, the principal square of Varsovia. As you can see here, it's the same horse, the same knight. Well, he was there. And obviously, there were no more studies to how to crack that machine, because that was part of Poland. So what Marian Rejewski did, he moves to the British Empire, to London. Indeed, there was a mission of the British Army to rescue all of them, because they know that these guys were. It was not just this guy, but this was the principal. They know how to crack the machine, and they invented it will be called the Poland bomb. Well, a machine to crack the message of the Enigma machine of Hitler. So that mission was very successful. They was sharing also some information with the French army at that time. So it was a mission between the British and the French. They a successful mission. So they went to the island and they will be saved there. So let's focus more or less how was the map at the beginning of the Second World War. You can see there, this is Europe between 1999, between the First World War and the Second, and 1929. So you can see here Poland, Germany, many countries that now are so little different, so different the borders. Well, some sense. Well, in any case, how was Germany at the time? This is the machine, by the way. This is the Enigma machine. You can see here, it's like a typewriter, yeah? When you press one button here, one light will appear here, and probably it's not the same letter. It will be another. For example, the K will be the M. If you press the K, the first time will be the M. But it's so easy. If you press against the K, will be against the M. No, it will be so easy, or so easy to crack. So with technique, well, I have to explain many things. If you press again the K, will appear then the A, for example, and the third time will be the X. So it seems to be that there is no algorithm, no rule. Okay, more or less. And when they press one letter, they see one light and they copy in one message, and that message will be sent by other means. As you can see here, there were three cylinders here with 26 letters each one, and it helps. Well, every time that you press a letter, it will be move, and will change the algorithm every time. A little, and after that, after one cycle of the one cylinder, the second one will begin to roll. So, and there is another thing, that there is a lot of cable here. I don't know if you can see here, that well, you can have to program it each machine. That was an improvement of the Nazis. No, if you put here many things, you can change absolutely the values of the combination. So it is interesting. Why? Because you have 100,000 million possibilities in each message. No? So it was quite difficult to crack that machine, especially the new improvements of the German with this machine. No? But that guy was able to do that. So what happened after that? Well, I will put you the video more or less explaining how it was. So let's go ahead. Sorry. I don't know what happened.
September 1939. As Britain declared war on Nazi Germany, an extraordinary motley army was being assembled at Bletchley Park in the English countryside near London to fight a secret war. Their mission was to crack one of the hardest codes ever devised, created on a machine called Enigma. Enigma lay at the heart of Hitler's armed forces communications system. Two of this elite were the renowned mathematician Alan Turing and the dean of a Cambridge college, Gordon Welshman.
Gordon Welshman was actually quite glamorous. He was good looking and he knew he was good looking. He had a way with the ladies. He was fantastically bright, very pugnacious, obviously a very proud man.
Welshman was one of the original elite codebreakers, given the Herculean task of decoding the Enigma machine. Enigma used a combination of rotors, plugs, and wiring to put German messages into secret code. There were 1 in 159 million possible combinations. While others sought to crack the codes, Welshman took a different approach. Instead, he focused on what would come to be known as traffic analysis. The body of the message was unreadable, but the first few letters and numbers were not in code. This was the call sign, the address, identifying who the message was to and from. There was crucial information in the call signs, and Welshman started to track it, linking up who was sending and receiving the messages, where they were, where they went. It was a brilliantly simple observation, yet it would prove crucial.
They call it chat that comes over the air. And by this means we can build up a picture of a German unit, the headquarters, any outstations it has, and how they keep in touch with each other and send messages.
Just using traffic analysis, Welshman started to reveal the precise enemy forces that faced the Allies. Modern code breaking was born.
And they had a big wall map, and you could visually see the whole setup of the German communication system.
Traffic analysis was Bletchley's first major breakthrough.
Without an analysis of traffic, you would never have been able to use cryptography to win the war.
Well, it's interesting, no? The beginning of code cracking. Incredible at the very beginning that is a war, a weapon. So it's quite interesting. And you can see here the map at the, well, after 1 year of war, 2 years, well, Germany invaded not just Poland, but also Italy, France, and all this part of Europe, no? It's incredible, no? And, well, alone, the United Kingdom, Spain was declared neutral, and, well, and the Germans trying to reach Moscow here, and that was the big fail. As you know, this is history, more or less. But let's focus in these 2 years, 41 and 42. There was a lot of attack here. Remember that Germany developed a lot of submarines, for example, here to attack the United Kingdom. They sank many ships of the Allies. Well, we will see. But when Hitler and the Nazis discovered that the machine was cracked and they were using the message to see how it was, well, they decided to include a new rotor, a new one. So not just 3, but 4. but to increase the security. Remember, this is 1942. 1942. So this new rotor with 26 letters will multiply even more than the number that you have heard in the video. That new development will increase the security of the machine. So it was impossible to see from that time what kind of message. The only thing is the very first characters, letters of the message, as you can remember of the video. Huh? That is today is still the same. In the emails, the very first characters are open. Anyone can see where the email came from in the code. I mean, in the code, not just in the subject of the email. No. So, and that's what was interesting. No. That year, 1942. Here, very close to Greenland. Greenland is here, as you know. There were many ships of the Allies coming and going to the United States to support the Europe, more or less, no? And also ships and destroyers of the British. So this is one submarine of the German. And that was crucial. This was crucial for the war, absolutely for the war. Probably some people say that changed the whole history of the Second World War. I don't know. Probably there are many things. It's not just one, but this is crucial in the Second World War. This is the German submarine U-556. Is very famous. Why? Because he sank many ships of the Allies, but the Allies seen that there was close that submarine, tried to destroy that submarine and to get that submarine, especially the HMS Petrarch destroyer. Was able to take that submarine, to more or less to destroy a little, but to take alive, and that is the most important thing here. Why? Because it was an operation. Let me see, from February to March. Well, 6 months more or less. 6 months. It was they seized a U-boat of U-556. And they took in October 30 that submarine with the let me see. They captured the Enigma machine there. That was highly secret at that time, and even no one of the crew knew the significance of that machine. But if you have the same machine and you know how the plugs are placed, you will be able to see how it works and the combination, and you will be able to know the message and to track the message of the Germans. So in October 30 was the capture of the Enigma machine. Now you can see there are 4 rotors, cylinders, no? You can see there, no? This new machine. One example to show you how important it was. The year before, in June 41, the Allied shipping losses were around 432,000 tons. Well, a lot of ships that sank because the submarines and the attack and the German ships. In February to October, well, many others, no, from February to October. But in August, it had dropped to less than 80,000 tons. So you can see there that that was so crucial, because if you can go and to administer troops, arms, planes, bombarders, and well, this will change the history of Europe, no? As you can see there, no? Because if you are losing almost all the things that you are sending to them to support them, there will be no strength of the army, well, to go against Hitler. So that was crucial. That was crucial for me. That was probably the most important moment and the turning point of the Second World War, when the United States is able, not only the states, but especially to give all the arms, the weapons, the ships, without destroying in the middle, no, in the middle, going precisely going in that way from Greenland. So this is interesting, no? Remember that I told you that the Polish were living there in London. Where was the big department to crack all the message of Hitler? Here seems to be an normal, quite easy house. But that was the crucial point where the defense were like. And there were, as you have heard in the video, there was Alan Turing. Who was Alan Turing? Well, it was a clever mind in these kind of things. He knows a lot of things, obviously of math, and also he was the beginners of the computer science, a logician, cryptanalysis, a philosopher too, and a theoretical biologist. It is interesting, no? Turing is widely considered to be the father even of the theoretical computer science and the artificial intelligence. So we are at the beginning in the artificial intelligence at that time. All his work was covered by the Official Secrets Act of the UK. So it is interesting because he, with all the information of the Polish people, well, the support of the government, he created a machine, a new machine that is, remember, the machine of the Polish were was called the Polish bomb. So here is a second bomb created at the beginning in 1940, but then developed to crack the second improvement of Hitler of the Enigma. This was the Turing bomb. That was a copy at the very beginning from the Polish, and then with a lot of improvements of that. That is incredible, no? To crack one message, a big machine, no? So there were thousands of messages that this machine cracked during the Second World War, especially from 1942. Why from 1942? Because there was a lack in a fail in the Nazi regime. Well, because they began to lose some battles and they were focusing on other things, but they didn't improve again any serious improvement in the codification of the message. So it was a turning point, that failure of the Nazis, that success of getting the way to understand the message of the Nazis. Well, it is quite interesting. You can see here, I will continue with the story, but yet not just with the Second World War. You know, that at one point Hitler lose the battles, and well, and he commits suicide, and well, many other things. No, but the technology of encryptation began to develop little by little. It was quite used, for example, in Vietnam. I don't know if you remember where was Vietnam. We have seen the map when we have seen the history of China. Okay, and this is an American soldier with a Manpack KJ-38. In the 1918s, they used that to connect with the commander everywhere in the war. Now it's easy with a mobile, but at that time was not so easy. They had to these kind of things. Now it's incredible with a little mobile. It's so easy, but at that time, and this have a lot of encryption. Today, each mobile have more encryption than that thing, but also at that time there was not the technique to decrypt, to crack the message. No? Now we have a technique also of the Enigma machine. It's so easy to crack today that message. But at that time there was not developed the technique to crack message. So as you can see, secrets encryption is a war weapon. So now, well, in the 90s, well, early, there was a lot of development of the internet, the net, different nets, also the World Wide Net, and a lot of encryption. The encryption was developed for many purposes. At the very beginning, also, I remember the minimum was also in the market. No? So in the internet was also in the market. There were many programs to secure information. At one point, with more or less the same security of the Navy. But what happened? What happened? Well, this is that the states realize, well, if they have the same level, I will not be able to read the message of the people. No? So, yeah, and they develop so many things. And they decide to regulate the encriptation. This is quite interesting, we will see. No? So these are the F-35A. There are especially three models. No? The second model can take off vertically. Incredible, no? At the Sea Harry in the past. It's not longer working the Sea Harry, but this one, yes. The Model A cannot take off vertically, but it's incredible, no? Yeah. Each one of these at the beginning was the cost of each one of these was $700,000 million. Imagine that. Now is well, is just 80. 80,000. Well, 80 million. I don't. Yeah, I think that there is a problem. Well, in any case, I was thinking to talk about the electronic warfare today. No, warfare. A system developed specifically for this plane. That the cost is $77.5 million. Incredible, no? This provides a radio frequency counter measures against, for example, the missiles, the planes, and that provides, well, 1,464 frequencies. So it's an incredible battle. It's not just a battle of missiles. So, because if you, with these kind of things, you can stop the connection of the others. If they cannot talk or have some noise talking with them between the enemies, well, there will be a problem. And also, for example, there are missiles that used to follow the planes, and so these kind of things they control, well, and they put a lot of noise, and it's so difficult to reach one of them just with some techniques. There's a lot of things here, no? And also to destroy many things, no? The communication many times. There is a lot of things in the electronic warfare, as you can see, no? You can read here, no? It provides offensive and defensive options. Offensive too, to enable the F-35 to identify, monitor, analyze, and respond to threats like radar guide, anti-craft missiles, batteries, and air search radars. That's why encryptation now is, well, from time ago, decades ago, for example, in the US International Traffic and Arms Regulation, the ITAR Act, well, considered as an arm. And if it is an arm, remember, you cannot have arms in your house, no, without some permission. It is depending the arms, no. You cannot have a missile, for example, no. Probably a knife, yes, but well, if strong encryption, cryptography is considered an arm. Little by little, in the last years, France and also the States liberalized these kind of things, because for develop these kind of things, you have to pay to the state, asking permission to use these kind of things. So, and to export, for example, it was banned in the United States. They cannot export strong encryptation or cryptography. That it's interesting, no? Because these kind of things are really an arm and can change the course of the war, as you can see in the Second World War. So let's go again to Vietnam. Now I will show you where is Vietnam. Once again, because we saw that in some lectures time ago. So that is Vietnam. Remember that here the Soviets invade more or less the Manchuria and promote communism in China, and that's why now they have this regime. Well, and this is interesting because in Korea and in Vietnam there was a support after the Second World War of the Allies, especially of the United States. It was called the Cold War. The Cold War. No? There was a lot of things between them, more or less here. The supporters of one team was the Soviets, China, more or less, and the States on the other hand, support the other people. So they tried to stop communism here, and they sent a lot of troops. But it was quite different here because there was a lot of wild here, a lot of wild, and with a lot of wild, the war is not so easy. At least it's different, no? And with the support of the Soviets, on the other hand, there was a lot of things, and the United States lost there so many people, so many money also, millions dollars. So the question here that we can ask, when we are talking about of access to information, which should be the general rule? Remember all the files of the United States about the war, and not only the war, but the people, but the citizens, the policy, the politics, regulation. My question here is all this information should be publicly or private? What do you think? Which should be the general rule in these matters? I don't know if you have one idea here now. The general rule. If you are in war, it's clear that it's better some secrets, no? Because it means it's a weapon, no? Yeah. But what happened in Vietnam? And that's why I'm putting you here. In Vietnam, there was a lot of issues, a lot. Well, these is some photos of Vietnam. You can see it there, and the troops arriving to the place of the war, and missiles, well, a lot of, as in any war, a lot of suffering, problems, and many times, well, it was after the Second World War. Many people in the Second World War suffered a lot. That's why they took drugs, was not many people with psychological problems, and then once against another war, the families were destroyed in the Second World War. It was incredible. It was incredible. No? And now new victims also. Well, that is also a propaganda, no? That the Soviet says that the states are bad because they treat bad people, and the states say the same of the Soviets. But I don't know which will be the best one. Well, you can read history and you will realize that they just see the number of deaths in each side, no? Well, and you will get your own conclusions. Sorry. Excuse me. I don't know. Because I have no battery now. Yeah, I'm connecting. Yeah, seems to be okay. We can continue with our lecture. Okay. Well, but in any case, that it's interesting. So many people of the United States appears there in Vietnam. They well, many deaths were not reported to the states, and the families in the states asked about them, sent emails, and never received the answer that emails. So there was a lot of problems inside of the United States. Even there was another issue, because well, any people that was suspect to be communist was fired from the governmental departments, no? So there was a senator that a lobby also that promote, well, let's stop the secrecy, the secrets of the states about why people was fired. No, let's stop secrets about if the people in Vietnam is alive or dead. No, we have to share this information with our citizens. So once again, the same question, no? When we are talking about the access to information, which should be the general rule, publicity or privacy? one side seems to be that now the balance weights more to publicity. No? So it's interesting. So after many deaths, with not know how happened, and if they happen, the United States instituted a new right, the right to access information, in a federal act that is called Freedom of Information Act. That was quite interesting. In that act, they say, well, all the information is crucial for a war. We are in Vietnam, remember, after the Second World War, fighting still with the Soviets, and even, well, in the Cold War. So they decide, well, we will give to the citizens these documents about the life of the siblings, family, relatives, and many other things, and also in part of the budget, and many other things. If any journalist asks about this, I will give this. It said the federal government. You can see that it's a change of rule. No, the first one was always secret, and also as the Napoleon regime. No, you cannot know anything about the budget of Napoleon or the king also that was custodied by the secrecy. But now the things are changing, no, because that war, the Cold War, you can see it here. After the United States, not just the United States, but many other countries follow that rule. Let's put an act, some regulation to create one action, one procedural action to give easily, fast the information of the state to the citizens that are asking for. So it is interesting. You can see two lines in some regulation of Sweden in 1766 and in the French Revolution too, but it never worked so well. So the new era of the transparency in the world was at the beginning with that. You can see there the years. No? I think that Kenya still have no special law about expedite, fast, speed access to state information. At least in the thing that I have checked until, well, I think that this is still, you lack it. It's good to promote that. I could be wrong, but yeah, access to, yeah, because all countries around the world, and you too, have an access to information by a judicial procedure, but it many times takes so long. So what they create, a very fast speed resource action to ask public information, to ask for public information. So it was from that time a new movement. And after the movement, after the lobby, after the war, the whole theory. What is the whole theory? Well, we are a democracy. What it means, democracy? Well, that we have to be able to control the budget of the state, the politicians, the decisions, the public decisions, and we cannot control anything without information. We need to know how things are going in the state. So from that time till today, the theory is, well, without this right of access to information, there is no democracy possible at all. This is a new approach. Incredible, no? Quite different from the very beginning. Yeah, I told you first the story of secrets, no? And now there should be no secret at all. Incredible, no? So incredible. So let's see with a little more detail how what the evolution of these rules. At the beginning, as I told you, the general rule was the secret. No? All information of the state should be kept in secret. And the exception, as the Freedom of Information Act, the exception was, well, we can give some specific documents about the life of your relatives and about the budget, but in just these two things, well, the things that are in the list, if you ask me, I will give you. If not, I have not the obligation to give you anything. The state, no? This is interesting. After that, some before that, in so many countries, the rule changed. The rule changed. And you can see, for example, in Argentina, in Paraguay, in Panama, that the general is exactly the contrary. So the general rule is I have to give access to all kind of information, and the exception then will be the secret. Or if there is in the law, even in the law, a list of documents that I can have the right to possess in secret, I will keep it in secret and I will not give it you. So as you can see, it's quite different nowadays, the new tendency of transparency. This is quite interesting because they realize, well, there are things that the state should keep in secret, at the secret of war, at the secret of war. Well, as you know, after so many years, 50 years in some cases, or even more, the state have the right to secret, and after that, they have to publish publicly all the information. But there were another develop of these kind of rules. No? The third stage of the evolution of these norms was to put a little more difficult to the state. Remember, after the Second World War, we are living in a peaceful times. Incredible. You can say, well, there is a war here and battle here. Yes. But if you consider the whole war, we are living in an incredible peacetime that never happened in the history of humanity. It's incredible. So considering the whole world, So the general rule is the same, to give access, deception, the secret, but also you have to classify information. So the state cannot deny your access to information if first, two conditions, if it is established by the law as the same in the second stage, but now previously, because in the law many times there is too general, and everything can be linked with some disposition of the law. But also you have each department of the state should put an index saying, well, I will keep this information in secret. And if the information or the document is not in the list, you have to provide to any citizen. Previously, the index should be written previously of the asking, not after the asking. So it means classified. That's why they put a seal called classified, no? And they have to put a list. Now, this is the standard in most of the countries, no? To put this, and even, well, there are many things. This kind of laws also say, well, not only the information of the state, but also the information of the private. Private, incredible. When the privates are giving public service, for example, if the state hired one company to give you water. Water is a public service in many states, most of the states. So this is a mixed company, half public, half private. Public just for the public service, and that's why they are regulated with the same rules of the states. Okay, I don't know if you follow me with this. It is important. So once again, which should be the rule? Publicity or privacy? What do you think? Yes, Natalie.
I think publicity should be the general rule, but with limitations as is necessary and proportionate, because we can't have governments just keeping away whatever information they want to. But there should be exceptions.
Yeah, I will ask you again the same question, but with another data.
Okay.
All your information, Natalie, all your books, your agenda, all your photos should be public or not?
Oh, I meant government information. That's private information.
Yeah, so it is interesting. It is interesting. So we can remember, if we have seen this slide, the theory of the common of secrets, that there should be two different approaches, because there is information more close to the heart of the people, and another information more public, and also secrets more close to the secret of conscience, for example, the secrets of or sins, or the things that we did bad, wrongly. And this is the private life. In the private life, the rule seems to be so different that in the public forum, so different. And the privacy, there are some parts that are more close to us, even, that is called intimacy. In many languages, the name could change. Well, I brought a book of that. And the general rule in the private life is secret, and the general rule in the public institutions, or in the institutions that give public service, is publicity. And deception in the private life is publicity, and deception in the state is the secret, as you can see, no? And that's why, in case of doubt, in the public and private life, you have to keep the secret, and in the public life, in the state, in case of doubt, you have to give the information. It's the principle pro information. Well, and there is another principle. This is a long theory that is quite interesting. Okay, I will put you now a test. And the test is it. This woman is attending the complaints of the people of safari.com. So yeah, there's a lot of issues, a lot of complaints of people, and they go to the office of Safari asking, can you ask information of this office? Yes or no? And what kind of information? You can see here many things, no? Well, notes here, a lot of documents, phone call, information of the computer, a mobile call, a photo here. I don't know if you can see here. Of the, well, seems to be that is a photo of that woman. Notes notes, and also in the trash some information. So can you ask with a procedural action information to this company or not? What do you think? Can you? Yes, Rosalind.
I think if your intention, for example, is to file a public interest suit, then you can.
Yeah, but this is a public or a private company?
I suppose it's a private company.
And you can ask or not to a private company.
If they've guaranteed like the privacy of information to their clients, then you can't ask them to review that information.
Well, okay. No, but I mean, by the law. Normally, Tasneem, yes.
So I think that you can ask for information that is public in the company. For example, the disclosure of the company's directors and just things that are mandated under company
But
law,
remember,
financial records.
What is the rule in the private companies?
That the general rule is that it's private. The information is private.
What
I'm talking.
What was the exception? I remember that when the company is giving public, no, because you cannot sue with this kind of actions any private company. It's not possible. Just when the private companies are giving a public service, So in many states, the communications is a public service. And if it is, you can sue the company. But if not, you cannot. Even if it is a public information as you were talking about. No? Okay, so it is, let's suppose it is a public service. Now, what kind of information of the things that you are seeing, for example, the phone call, you can register the phone call or not? Or you can ask to the notes that are in the here, the desk here, or in the trash or not? Theoretically, things are so easy, but many times it's different in the reality. We can ask with these kind of actions around the world for this note that is posted in the it's not a white word here, in the wall, or not. This or to record with a video the photo. Yes, Tasneem.
I think that you have to distinguish in the office what is the lady's information and what is the company's. And then you also mentioned the exception in the private company. But it seems as though that note, the picture, maybe a lot of information on the phone and the computer is her personal private information. And therefore that should be the hardest to access.
Well, let's see. Another one to try.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Very well. Anyone, another one to try? Another student, or another view? Yes, Rosalind.
Just to add on to what Tasneem has said, if those notes and the pictures or whatever are related to the company and the service they provide, then you can ask for it.
Yeah, well, It's not so easy. I will mention how it was the jurisprudence around the world. First, what is easy is the call. The call could be, how was the elections in Uganda, for example? The content of the information is public. The election of Uganda, no, it's a news. You can read that in the newspaper, no? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters? That is by phone, because every communication, the standard now in human rights is protected by secrecy, but the secret is communications, no? So it doesn't matter the content, if the content is public or private in the communications. Also in the email, all of them are protected by the secret in the international standard of human rights. First one. Second, there is a lot of discussions, probably as well, more or less as Tasnim said, these complaints that you can see in these papers now. Some part could be public or not. The thing that you cannot publish never is the name of the people, no? Because that's second. But more or less, you can ask them, well, how many complaints do you have? What kind? Because which were the issues, and so on. And the photos, probably is the photo of the family. No, because this is protected with a very, very strong secret, the privacy of the family. But in the States, we have jurisprudence, case laws that says that these notes, we don't know what kind of things are there. What should be, if there is in a public desk, any journalist can ask for them. Incredible, no? To have access to that note. And even the information that is in the trash, you have the right to access in the jurisprudence, in the case laws of the United States. And probably there is a little difference between states, but it's interesting because it seems to be not so easy. And in the computer, well, in the computer you have many things. Emails, if there are emails, will be protected, but the communication secret, that it doesn't matter the content, but all of them are protected. And you have also, well, statistics of the company. Probably you can access to that statistics. Well, there should be many things, so it's not so easy to answer the things that are in the computer. You can see that there is a lot of stuff here. We finished more or less the battle between secrets and democracy. This is a battle till today. And I think that with this, we can continue with our lecture of human rights. And let's share this one. So we have seen something about the secrets and the notion of democracy and how they fit in democracy. So let's talk about the same thing, but with a wider point of view. Little by little, we will approach to the details. So communication. This is a new part of the code, by the way. For sure, you will remember that the first part of the code was about the environment. The legal system too is in the environment of the legal relationship. We are seeing the legal relationship, as you can see, little by little, each part, and the human rights related to each part. The second part was about the human being in itself. So there we heard all the properties of the human being. So then the third part of the code is about the action. We will not see about that because, well, till today it's not so well developed, this part of the human right. We have seen also at least some part related with the their personal relationship, the relation with the authorities, with the family, and with God. Principal that were the impersonal relationship that we have seen. And now, the final part, the relation between the person and some kind of goods, assets, things. And we will focus now till the end of human rights in this relationship, the relationship between person and the object, or the legal relationship, as you know. Huh? So what kind of objects could be here? What kind of good assets? You can imagine probably many of them. But try to answer that, because if you answer that, you don't have to memorize when you read the code this part, at least the titles. I don't know if any one of you want to try to avoid memorize. What kind of goods could be? Well, you will have, yes, Rosalind.
Material goods.
Yeah, good, very good. And on the other hand, just material goods. There also should be immaterial goods. Material, the intellectual property is also a part of the legal relationship. Yeah, my copyright of these lectures, my copyright of this video, this amazing video of Crescent Island. Well, yes, both the things that I have, my glasses lens, and the copyright of the information, of the form. Also, we can be broad. Remember the concept of form, no? Informate, to report, is to put the form that I have in my mind in another person, in another mind. That is information or communication too. So, but also could be work in a company. We can sell our work. And finally, rest. So, contrary of work is to rest. And that will be the last lesson of human rights. The last lesson of human rights will be about the feast and how to rest and how to play and how to do the things that we want. Just last question now. Which is most important? The material or immaterial things, the work or the rest? What do you think? Yes, Abdirrahman.
I guess they're equally important because it's in man's nature to work, and also you need to also rest.
Okay, and material and immaterial, what do you think about?
Perhaps immaterial is more important.
Yeah, people used to say, don't be so materialistic. Yeah, some other want to say something about that? Yes, Rosalind.
I think the material and immaterial are complementary.
Complementary, okay. And about work and rest, which is most important?
I think I'd say work, because it has come before the rest.
Okay. Normally people used to say that in material things, not all of them, obviously, not just copyright, but the material things, love, for example, self-donation, or creations of things, or so many things are more important, or even, or interpersonal relationship with your family are things, immaterial things. So it seems to be that it's more important that. On the other hand, Aristotle and most of the philosophers used to say that the rest is the most important thing. Rest. Why? Why? Because work is just a means to something else, and the rest is the end in itself. There are, well, we will see with a little deep one first idea here. So now we will be focused in the immaterial things, in the form, not in the material manifestation, expression of the form, but in the form itself. So, and in the communications and in the intellectual property. So, what we need for a communication? This is an easy question. Probably you have heard about this in kindergarten. I don't know, I think in kindergarten, but can you give me some elements of the communication that you need to have a communication? Can't you? Yes, Rosalind.
The senses, like your ears, your eyes, I mean sight, yeah.
Okay, Georgina.
I'm not sure, but do you need a common language?
A language, okay. What else? Joy?
I'd say you need a sender, you need a receiver, and you need the message.
Very good. That is crucial. Without this, without two or more people, we have no communication. And we need a message. But we still need something more, which will be obviously a receiver, a sender with ears, voice, and what? Okay. But what? Which else? Yes, Ruth.
I think the other thing is the medium.
Is the medium. Okay, very good. What else? What else, Tasnim?
I was thinking that in relation to language, we also need thought in order to be able to know what we're sending through the medium.
Yeah, okay. Also, people used to say, well, this is new. This is new. The context, because we are not angels. We need something else. Philip, yes.
We also need a feedback.
The feedback. Well, these are defined, the feedback. Okay, very good. The feedback. Which else? The most important thing of the communication. Yes, Lilian.
I think that the reason for sending the message, so the aim.
Perfect. The reason. Perfect. So you have all the elements, the constitutive elements of the communication. Without them, we cannot communicate ourselves. We need all of them. These are the elements of the communication. The aim of the communication, the first one, remember, the aim is always the most important element everywhere. In the personal relationships, interpersonal, or with the objects, always. Then center the subject, the means of transmission, the context is also it's not the same to talk in the beach that to talk in the middle of the, I don't know, of the metro station, no? Because many people are hearing, and probably we will not able to say so many things because there are people so close. Well, obviously the message, and finally the actions. In the actions, to the feedback is, for example, the action. No? So let's get focused in the first one, in the end of communication. Okay. What are communication for? we said that this is the most important element. What are communication for? Any kind of communication between people. Yes, Rosalind.
Just a try to transmit some sort of truth.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that is perfect. And it's not just to talk without truth or not.
You're asking if it can be just without aim, that's without truth, like the communication.
I think that your first answer was better. I don't know if you remember this movie when Neo is with Morpheus and Morpheus is talking about the truth. And he put two options. And Neo saw two pills, one red and one blue. And he knows that the red that have the truth will be so hard. But he realized, I need to know the truth. And there is a phrase or one saying that says, there are many people that really enjoys to make some frauds to the people, to say lies and but no one in the world want to be wrong about how things are in the reality. No, there is no one in the world that really wants. No, I want to be really stupid. No, it never happened. It never happened. We are seeking the truth. And when in a conversation, and when we are talking with people, if we realize, no, that's not true, we give no credit and we stop the conversation because he's not saying me the truth. Yeah, the truth is an aim, no? You have to take the red pill, remember. So this is the first aim, the truth. But it's not just that. There are other kind of communications that we are seeking probably something different, probably related to the truth. Which other aim could be? Why you are seeing this video? And why I put in you that video? Tasnim.
In order to develop one's knowledge and get more access
the
to
lecture, yes,
information.
but I mean this video that are behind me of the nature.
I'm just thinking information.
Just information, but you know very well what will happen there. You know, we'll have no new information. Anyone? Joy.
I'm not sure, but I think it's because nature is beautiful and sometimes communication is meant to achieve.
Very good, very good.
Yeah,
we are seeking not just truth, but beautiful things also, no? Beauty, the beauty is another very deep aim of communication. Why we go to the museum? Why we go to a safari and spend hours there seeing things? No, because there are things that are beauty, and it's good to spend time with beauty things, beautiful things. So now we will talk about what is true time ago. I will not be focused on that. I will say a little word after that, after some minutes. But what is beauty? What is beauty? Is it relative or not? Seems to be. Well, the things that I really enjoy, probably you don't want. you don't want, no? Then there is no beauty, absolute beauty at all. What do you think about what is beauty? Yes, Rosalind.
I know a famous quote that says, "Truth is beauty." I've never understood, but I'd say beauty is truth as well.
So, another, yes, Joy.
I think something which is beautiful is something which is good and is pleasing. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
But what is in itself? You mentioned characteristics. Joy, well, Georgina, I don't know if you want to say something. No.
I don't know the characteristics of beauty, so I think Joy can go.
Okay. One philosopher was, again, Augustine, said two things. First one, the beauty is a hard notion. Very hard. It's so difficult. It's more easy to know what is the truth, but beauty is not so easy. And he also said, no, I don't know what is beauty, but when I see beautiful things, I know what is beauty. Yeah, that's too deep. Yeah, it's probably, well, it's too hard to give a very good notion. It's too hard. But we realize that there are beautiful things in the world. No? In the truth, there are skepticism. There are many people saying, well, there is no truth at all. It is all relative. About beauty, there is not relativism. People, well, relativism, yes, but not skepticism. People realize there are things that are quite beauty. No? At least my wife at the very beginning, or also at the end. Well, I don't know, but there are things that are beauty. There is not skepticism, but instead of that, there is a lot of relativism, and I think that is a mistake too, because many people say Voltaire, one of the French philosophers of the French Revolution, say, well, the most beautiful thing for a frog is another frog. so, so it's quite relative. And no. What is beauty? The thing that we can see and enjoy seeing things, no? See, and especially with the intellect, especially with the things that we can contemplate, the contemplation. This, indeed, beauty in German is schön. Schön means contemplation, etymologically meaning. So it's the thing that we can contemplate, that are beauty. We can contemplate with our ears, eyes, also with the nose, smell of, the sense of smell, but you need something else, also the intellect. The only creature that really can contemplate is the creature with intellect. So I will put you to show you how beautiful things are not absolutely relative at all. There are rules. Because it is important, because nowadays there is so many people say that no, every culture deserves the same value, the same respect, the same thing. No, I think not at all. The culture that promotes slavery deserves no protection at all. Yeah. Well, and I will show you things of art, many arts I will show you now to show you that there are objective rules. So you have in your screen many people, heroes, films. Think in your best movie, your favorite movie. Okay, which is your favorite movie? Do you have now one in mind? This one. Time ago, more than 2,000 years ago, Aristotle said that every drama should fulfill one rule, and this is the most important rule of the drama. And now you have to answer me if that rule is in that movie that you have in your mind. No? The rule is the following one: is that the main subject, person, individual of the movie, actress, or whatever you want, the main one should have a deep transformation. A deep transformation, and at the end of the movie or the book of the poesy or the joke or you have a deep transformation. If there is a deep transformation, that will be a good drama. And that's why, for example, in Spider-Man, at the beginning is a fool, and at the end is a hero. Lion King at the very beginning is a child without nothing. No? At the end, well, with a lot of fame, things. You can see also with Superman, no? A child, and the transformation of the person. No? This is a good drama. This is a rule that today people who write the scripts of the movies used to follow, and knows very well Aristotle, because they realized that without that there will be no good movie. There could be special effects and many things, but not a good drama. Well, that is a rule you can see. In art, in architecture, there is the divine proportion. The divine proportion. If you put that proportion, things will be harmonized. Will be so good, so beautiful. And if you don't follow that, will be, well, something strange. Probably you cannot say, well, I don't know, I don't really like it. But why? Because there are rules. There are rules, no? And people used to discover little by little that rules. The divine proportion was discovered time ago. The vanishing point was discovered 1,000 years ago. What is the vanishing point? That all things that we are seeing, well, goes. You can see all the lines here. It's so easy to see the vanishing point here. No, goes to a point here. Yes, and if you are a painter, you have to realize there should be in every paint one vanishing point. Yeah, if you want to be realistic. Also, here in the Moline, here there is the vanishing point in precisely here. You can see, and then, for example, there is a colors range. A colors range. When you put the same colors or more or less the same range of colors in one painting, that will be beautiful. But if you put another quite different color, will be there's something that I don't like here. No, if you want to see the range of colors, you can open your Word and you will see this. No, to put the color to your documents. Well, if you take this line or the last one, all of them are in the same range, and it will be beautiful. It will be beautiful. But if you mix, for example, this one with, I don't know, with this one, there will be so ugly things, no, because are not in the same range. Well, at least you know, if you want to be elegant for one feast, you can open your Word and see the range of colors and to select your dress for the party. Seeing Word. Well, this is, you can see. And what about the skyline? This is when they got that there is a skyline, all the painters develop a lot the painting techniques. Here, for example, this is the vanishing point. And here is the skyline. There is a new concept, the skyline. No, there is well, what is the skyline? Well, obviously, if you see the sky, there is a line in the horizon. But it's more than that. It's more than that. It's have to be with the vanishing point, and also with, if, for example, if you're at that high, you will be the line here. If I'm here, it always will be directly in front of your eyes. Well, now it's difficult to show you because this is just a video. The low and the camera lows will be always in the middle. You put the camera always here, and your low will be the same. It's quite interesting. The things can move, but the skyline cannot move. And this is the interesting thing. So, and there is compositions, typical compositions that you put, and things will be beautiful. Because, for example, the typical compositions for paintings and also for photography, this will help you to take good photos. Is one, to divide the photo in this way. Put the heavy things here and the sky here. Or to put things in parallel. Yeah. Or to put all things here and a great sky. These are the classical composition of paintings. And now photographers used to put that. As you can see, there is a lot of rules in every art. I can also talk about architecture. Now I will show you my pictures of the last safaris. This, for example, there are two. I think that are beautiful. You have to answer in the final examination that are beautiful. But you can see here, for example, perfectly the point, vanishing point here, and the line, the skyline here. No, it's and this is a centered photo. This also too, the same. The eye pose in the lake, and also in the river, and also well, the vanishing point more or less with the woods that are there. Well, here. This is another composition, put all in the bottom, as you can see here. No? And it's good for a PowerPoint presentation. Well, but this is an artistic also. No, you can another with the same technique, but here there is a mix of technique because I'm putting here the weight part of the photo. Yeah, and you can divide in this way, and also to put here. No? Because there is the Mount Kenya there. Well, and you can see, well, it's proportionate. It's proportionate. So this is also, well, this is a lot of technique in this photo, a lot of technique. Because remember that I told you, the line, the skyline is always the same. You go up, down, if you are in the mountain, it will be always in the same position, in front, directly in front of your eyes. To take that photo, I have to put more or less like that. Because if not, what will happen? I will take that bird, but with the background of the green, not of the sky. And I wanted to show that it's flying. And that's why the contrast was the sky, not the green. And this is the contrast, no? As you can see, well, I have to do this to see behind the beard the sky. Well, another technique. This is remember the range of colors, no? There is a golden hour for every photographer that is between 6 and 7 of the morning. 6 more or less. At that time, all the colors are so beautiful. I mean, an incredible range of colors. That was at 6:30 of the morning. This cheetah, and more or less this. You can see the more or less the same range of colors. And this is with two lines here, and also with lines here, and this is also with the line in this way. You can see that if you know the rules, you will be able to do beautiful, to take beautiful photos. But there are rules that are created time ago. This is the same in the middle, and it's just so easy. So you can see that the beauty is not just what we like. Probably there is so many things that are you can enjoy. A very bad song, but because you are with your friends drinking a beer and probably with the one that you love, but after several years you will remember that, and you will I shared a great time with my friends. You will remember, but you will realize that the song was not so good. What is classical music? The music that enjoyed many generations of people enjoy, because there is something else. The classic art, the classical music is good to learn how to test it. And nobody knows really well what is beauty. But all people used to say, but there are some characteristics that every beauty thing should have. Which kind of characteristics? Well, principally three: harmony. No? What is the difference between a beautiful woman and a ugly woman? Probably just 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter more of nose, 1 centimeter or more of I don't know. I don't remember the name of this, or of the eyes or the ears or whatever you want. 1 centimeter more here and here will be so ugly. Yeah, because beauty have to be with harmony, clarity. Yeah, there should be some light. If you cannot see anything, probably there is not beauty. No, many times you cannot see anything, but they told you a story incredible, and the story is the clearly thing, and that's why that is beauty. No? The clear ideas are also beauty. The things that you don't understand in one lesson are not so beautiful until you understand. When you understand, you say, wow. And integrity. How people in the movies paint or shows monsters. Well, without an eyes, no? The zombies. Well, with a monster without just one eye here, no, in the middle, no one. Well, so there is not the integrity of the parts, no, or children that should be so cheerful, lovely, well, like a demons, no, because there is something that lacks, no. So another last characteristic that unifies people. You can see in a concert, a lot of people hearing the same song. In a museum, a lot of people gathering together, probably talking about the Mona Lisa or so on. Well, these are characteristics, and these are values. These are the aims of communication, as you can see. So after seeing the aims, we can continue with the next elements. And you will realize why the aims are so important. With the aims, you will be able to develop the argument. Without that, the argument will be so strange, more or less like the jurisprudence of human rights today. That's just one case without the background. It's better to have the whole theory. Send and receive. There is a lot of principles about them in the human rights, also jurisprudence. So the principle of the centrality of the person. Yeah, all the communication are for the person, have to protect the person, and so on. No, will be in a human way. The principle of the orientation of the communications to the common good. There is how to improve the communications. If there is social interest, remember this word and this term, social interest. If there is social interest, probably you will be able to report many things. No? If there is social interest, for example, even I talk about that, the politicians will suffer some restriction on their privacy. Why? Because we are living in a democracy, and if we are living in a democracy, what do we have to do? Well, to know very well who are our politicians, and to see just a little more about their private life. There is a restriction, also in the celebrities and the people with fame. Well, they have a restriction. I'm talking about the so many case law around the world that says privacy, the right to honor, the right to some specific, even the right to have the right information, and to access and many others. They have a limitation because they are in the public space and we are living on a democracy, and they have a restriction in those rights. It's quite interesting to know that, no? Because the social interest. So other principle of the sender and the receiver, the principle of freedom, no? Well, it's quite clear now, freedom of communications, and also some duties to tolerate the opinions that I don't believe. Yeah, you have to tolerate, and it's a duty here. Yeah. Because if I have no that right and that duty, no, always will be someone that say, no, it's too hard for me, I don't want to hear that. Oh, well, we have to tolerate. And finally, the principle of responsibility. Normally, is responsibility ex post. After the publication, I will be responsible of the publication, not before. Before could be so different. You will read so many other principles in it. For example, this is just specific for the receiver. The receiver precautionary principle. If we are broadcasting one information that could harm children, well, I cannot publish that because there is a probability that there will be a child or children seeing that movie, so I have to put that movie in another space and another time, not at the same time where the whole family and children are seeing television. Yeah, you have to take some precautions about, and it is not just for children, by the way. It's also in advertising. Yeah, in advertising, if you realize that there will be a consumer, people that could buy that things, and is not so expert to understand what the things that were in, I have to take care of that, and I should publish the advertising. Remember, well, there could be people that will not understand, and if they don't understand, I will have some extra responsibility, legal responsibility. I have to pay more. You have a lot of cases in advertising law talking about that principle. So let's talk about just one word about the means of transmission of the message with its respective. The experts on communication used to include in the means the code, the channel, the mode, and the nature. Well, normally the jurists, the lawyers that talk about communication law put all these things together with the means of transmission, with the media. So this is the mobile. How many means could be? Well, mobile, telephone, telegraph, also face-to-face, verbal communication, letters, television, online, emails, with encryptation or not. Well, there is a huge range types of means of communication, radio, with satellites, well, so. But it is important the plurality. Well, by the way, each element deserves a book. So I will explain just a few ideas. You will have in the code a little more. And you will read some case law in the other book also. So one thing that appears so many times in the case law of human rights is this guy. I don't know, you have ever played Monopoly? And there are so many cases that say, well, let's take care about monopoly and the media. Normally, the principal problem is the state that take, for example, one channel of TV, and if another one wants another channel, I will see if this one that is asking for that channel is enemy or friend. If it's my friend, if the same political party, well, I will give you the opportunity to have another channel. And if not, nope, so sorry, but don't you know, there are not a lot of frequencies, well, I cannot give you. It happened many times in the last century when the media was developed. So the state have a lot of power to give in protection of some things and to give means of communication, radios, and television. Now, fortunately, internet is more open and you can have easily your own page. There was a lot of freedom. Little by little, the state is controlling more and more and more internet. And not only the state, but many other companies, big companies, but especially the state, no? And it's incredible what you have here in Uganda, well, restriction and taxes and many things. Well, nowadays is not, we have not the freedom that we have in the past on internet. So the jurisprudence on human rights used to say, well, any monopoly of the states of the means, or any monopoly, not only of the state, but artificial. Remember, there are two kinds of monopolies: the artificial, that is created, and the natural. If I'm the first that I discover one thing, I will have, in fact, the monopoly. Yeah, because I'm the first that discovered one technology. But it means not this kind of monopoly, but the statual monopoly to controlling all things and avoid every dissident voice in the media. So many cases around the world against many dictators, many presidents around the world, in South America, in Europe. You can find that these kind of things, they are responsible. They have some liability on human rights specifically. So let's see now a new idea: the context of communication. Another element. This is a new element, and I think that most of the people don't know anything about that. I mean, all the specialists. And it's quite interesting. It's quite interesting. I will talk in advance a little about the notion of lie. What is lie? A liar. Who lies? What is a lie? What do you think? Seems to be so easy, the question, and it is not. Liar. What do you think? Who lies? Yes, Roslyn.
A person who distorts reality, lies, I think.
Okay. Joy.
Mine was similar to Rosalind's, but someone who does not tell the truth.
Yeah, okay. But if I'm telling you a joke, I'm not telling you the truth. You know that it's a joke. Probably it's a bad joke. Okay. But I'm not a liar if I'm Abdirahman. Yes.
Yeah. So distorting reality with the purpose of misleading the other person.
Purpose. Very good. That is a new element, and that's why the typical definition of lie was once again of San Augustine. That is talking against the things that we have in our mind. Okay, we believe one thing and we say another thing. Okay, this is quite accurate definition, but with that definition there is a lot of problems in the history. Why? Because there is a commandment that says you have not to lie. And what happened? And what happened? And what happened, for example, with in the Nazi regime? Suppose that you are in the Nazi regime and you are protecting some Jews in your house, hiding them in the floor. Yeah, very specific place that nobody knows. And one day you hear the door, knock, knock, knock. And there was the Gestapo, no, asking for, you have Jews here. And you remember, well, there is a commandment that says I have not to lie. What you will do? Yes, I have 5. No. What you will do? That is a lie. Obviously, there are people, there are moralists that say, well, you cannot say any lie, but you can change the topic of the conversation and say to the Gestapo, well, what a beautiful day, see the sky. What will do the policeman? Obviously, well, we realize that he's lying. He's lying. And they will check better the house. What do you have to do there? You have to say, no, I have no Jews here. Because if not, it's impossible to protect them. Yeah, that's why the definition for the philosophers of a lie is not so easy. And I think that one of the most clever minds that is living today, Ronheimer, discovered that there should be another element to define what is a lie, and is the context. The context. Why? Because there are contexts that you need to say the truth. Communicational context of true statement. For example, when you are in the court, normally you have to tell the truth. Yeah, and if not, you will be will have some responsibility, and probably you will go to jail. Yeah, okay, to prison because you are not telling the truth. That are contexts, but there are some quite different contexts. Not all of them are the courts. Not all of them. There are also, for example, in the art. Well, probably I changing a little the reality to show you the reality in a more beautiful way. Or in a game card, a cards game. Well, probably you have to have a little fraud to make the others believe that I have a good hand and I have not one, but that is the joke, and without that it's impossible, the game, sorry, and without that it's impossible to play. Okay, so there are communicated contexts of beauty, relaxation, and also context of possible falsehood. Possible falsehood, the game. It is presupposed that you will lie, and if it is not, there is no game at all. You need this as a rule, as a rule. So what is a lie? To say the things against that we have, the thing that we have in mind, in a communicational context of true statement. This will help you so much to understand so many things in this, and to measure what it should be. There is another context quite studied in the jurisprudence, the private context, in your home, and the public forum. Obviously, there are things that you can say in your home, with your friends, in a very close space, in a private space. And there are things that you cannot say in the public forum, but just in the private forum. Okay? Because are different contexts. And obviously, for example, I believe that someone is a criminal. Probably you can say that to a friend in a private conversation. But if you say that he's a criminal in the public forum, probably you will have a lot of responsibility. Because so many people will realize, and that the fame of that guy will be destroyed. Yeah, you can talk about that with your lawyer, for example, but not in an interview on television. Okay. So that is quite important and quite interesting, because all the principles of the communication law, it deals more or less better or worse in each communication context. So let's talk about now the message. Yes. So what is the message? You have message here in the phone. You know very well what is the message. But the message, we will talk about the principles. The principles. I don't know if you remember the two aims of the communication. First one, the truth. We are seeking the truth, but not just the truth. There's also entertainment. Also entertainment, beautiful things. Beautiful things and entertainment are related. So the principles, remember the natural law formula, no? Every aim, every value is also a principle. So there should be one principle. But see here that the principle is not about truth. The principle is about veracity. And it's quite different. It's not the principle of truthfulness, for example. It's about veracity, and are two different things, because we are not God. We have not the whole truth. If it's impossible to say the truth and just the truth and only the truth, no, it's impossible for the humankind, because we know just a little parts of the truth in a context. But we have to say, in some context, the things that we believe that are true. That is different. And this is the virtue of veracity. Veracity for ourselves. The standard is veracity, not truth. The thing that we believe, that we understand, that is the thing that we have to say. That's why if we are witness in a trial, well, we can say things that are not true without any liability if we think that they are true. I'm absolutely convinced that he was the murderer of someone. And I can tell them to the truth. Well, I convinced it because I saw him with the knife in the body. Well, probably there are many explanations of that. It's not true. You believe that, but no. Okay? Okay, the principle is veracity. And as every principle works with a level of degrees. You know, you don't have the same level of responsibility always. For example, between journalists, it's not the same. The journalist that appears few seconds or few minutes after the crime and report all the things that he or she saw, than the journalist that came and write a note of the same crime 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks after the crime, because he will have more possibilities to confront information. He will have more sources or to compare and to see, and the other just the first source and the things that he is or she is seeing at the very beginning. No, so more responsibility of veracity will have the second journalist, and more even will have, for example, a guy who is writing a historical article, because he will have more time and more sources and more patience to take care. He's writing history, not a newspaper, and this he will need a more precision. Will be more objective, should be, and it's not the same level of responsibility of the witness, and it's not of the judge. If the judge have some error, there will be a lot of responsibility of not telling the truth. Probably the judge should tell the truth. The judge is not veracity, it's the truth. It's more than the veracity. This is the principle. If you swear, or if you sign any, I will take any agreement, I will tell you the truth, there will be contractual responsibility of telling the truth. So you can see that the levels of responsibility of each principle could have levels. Now, with the principle of veracity, with the value of the truth, there are other principles. For example, the principle of objectivity and context. Now, it's impossible to a human being to have an absolutely objectivity. The same, we cannot have the whole truth. That's why we cannot be absolute objective. And in many laws, they are avoiding the word around the world. I mean, the duty of being objective, and they put the things in the context. Even a camera that have a teleobjective, the lens is called teleobjective. Well, it's always a subjective point of view. You can put the camera, for example, in the top of the house and see that 100 person, a few person in the square. A few, 100 person, because the square is too big, and seems to be that a multitude is nobody. And on the other hand, I saw that in many manifestations around the world, when another groups of people that have some strikes for incredible things, very extremistic things. Nobody gathered in that strikes, just 10 people. But the journalists that followed them put the same camera, and took the photo from the floor. So I'm very close. And then 10 people seems to be a multitude in the photo. So it is also, if the teleobjective cannot be objective, the human being can be objective? No. But in any case, some level of objectivity is required. What level? What is objectivity? To show things that in the same way that they are. Okay. I cannot say, for example, no, there is a strike with 100 people when there was just 10 people. It's again subjectivity. On the other hand, you cannot say, well, there was a great strike with a little strike with just 10 people when there was 100 people. So some level, once again, of the principle of some level of objectivity will be required. And there are levels also. The judge should put more objectivity in the appreciation of the evidence, for example, no? And to put things in their context. The principle of relevance, we have to say information that is relevant. Remember, this applies to any kind of communication. Also the communications with your clients, for example. No? If you are selling something, I will sell you my car, and I will give you my keys. And I say, well, this is an old car, no? But I'm selling for just $500. No? And you say, well, it's so cheap. You know, I will buy. I believe in my professor. And you realize that when you're trying to turn it on, there is no sound and nothing happened. And then you open and see that there is no engine motor there. So what you, so sorry, I was forgetting. I forgot to tell you that my car have no motor. That's why the price. So that agreement will be null because the lack of information, relevant information, and should be all the relevant information. The principle of coherence also. No? If I'm telling one thing, then in the next trial, if I'm a lawyer of two clients, two different trials, I cannot say one thing here and it's completely different here, because the thing in one process will be also evidence for the other process. There should be some coherence. The principle of authenticity and plurality. Plurality we talk about a little on the means of communication. There should be, well, and you have to tolerate the dissident and the different opinions, and authenticity. No? So if I'm saying one thing, is part of the truth that I am the one that are saying that thing. That is saying that, okay? Okay, principle is part of the truth. Yeah, I have to say I'm the responsibility. Probably you can sign with a nickname many times. I mean, it is allowed by the copyright law. But there is a problem. There is a legal issue. Even if you have the nickname, you have to be the responsible of the things that you write. The principle of beauty. Well, things should be beauty. Yeah, probably. As once again, there is a levels of if you hire one artist to paint you, they cannot put 3 lines now and say, well, this is $1,000. No, they will have some responsibility. In other things, it's not so clear. Not so clear. Obviously, you cannot destroy beautiful things. Huh? That is another part of the law. So many bombardments were so bad, so wrong in the Second World War and in the First World War also. But there was one that was particularly bad wrong. That was the bombardment of Monte Cassino. Monte Cassino was a convent with a great library, the most important library of the world at that time, with many books of the antiquity that they were only there. Was more or less the database of the history of humanity. Well, and the Germans, knowing that, they were there, no, because they were thinking that the enemy will never attack that point. And the enemy attacked and destroyed Monte Cassino. So after that, many treaties around the world say, well, you cannot destroy the beauty things of the cities, the culture. Obviously, they are talking about the beauty things. That's why you have a lot of things in the law related to beauty. Yeah, principle of integrity. Remember the characteristic of integrity, no? The clarity, the precision, the integrity characteristic. All of them. Well, if you are talking about one agreement, well, you have not to speak just all these relevant issues of that agreement, but also all the relevant issues and topics. All that is integrity, no? The opportunity to give the information on time. I cannot put in a newspaper, don't you know, Hitler suicided. No, it happened time ago. No, each news, each information has its own time. No? And clarity, obviously, at least one level of clarity in advertising should be more there is no relativism in advertising, no at all. No, if you say something, that should be true, not veracity, true. And if not, it is not true, an advertising, you will be like, will have liability, and you will have to pay. If there is not true, there is not relativism on advertising law. Incredible. The principle of honesty, okay? Honesty, it should be a good faith. There should be a good faith when you are trying to agree something with one guy, when you are reporting to the newspapers on news, when you in every communication. Okay. The first in one color are the principles, and are more or less the objective controls or standards of the message. But there are also subjective controls or standards of the communication. You cannot, for example, report anything about anyone that is part of their privacy. No, because they have some right. In general, well, in general, no. The first one is objective, just seeing the message without the context, without the seeing which are the parties of the legal relationship. Okay, but in the rights of the people is a subjective limit of the communication, because there you have to see which rights are of the sender and of the receiver. They have a right to well, reputation, for example. You cannot injure anyone or violate their reputation, the honor, the privacy, and many other rights. Okay. This, yes, that's him.
I just have a question on the principle of beauty. So I understood what you said in that beauty should be maintained in regards to monuments and you know, World Heritage sites and all of that. But I was just trying to understand how it relates to the message. So when one is communicating, there should be this underlying protection of beauty. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, remember that we are protecting the beauty things of the world because the form, and that's why it's related to the communication. But as I told you, there are, every principle could have some role, some function, depending of the relation. So there are many relations that, for example, beauty is not required on the sentence, on the judgment of the judge. Many times are so ugly, okay? But it is required when you hire an artist to paint you, yeah, okay? So it depends of the communication. And you will read in the codex, this communication requires these 6 principles and not the others. Okay, so it depends of the communication. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's a bit clear.
Perfect. So let's talk about a little. It will be just a little because there is a lot of things, no, of the action of informing, of reporting, of communication, giving the information, receiving the feedback, and many others. How many actions could be here? How many actions? Especially, well, the human rights used to talk about 3. The Article 9 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, for example, talk about reporting, to have access, and to receive information. Have access, receive seems to be so close, no? So close. But never they say something about the possession of information. And adding that, no? Diffusion, access, and receive. Well, yeah, they talking receive to see the news and receive and accessing to access to information of the state and so on. I will say that this is another scheme. By the way, the scheme of the Universal Declaration is copy paste in most of the treaties around the world about human rights, and they put the 3 faculties: access, diffusion, broadcasting, and so on, and finally receiving. This new scheme, I think that is broader and explain better the things, no? Diffusion, once again, the same as the Universal Declaration. The acquisition I will receive and have access, and dialogue. Dialogue is interesting. It's interesting because it's the feedback. There are many philosophers now. Rorty, well, not Rorty, sorry. Well, the famous one, Dworkin, also Habermas, and some of Richard. I don't remember. We have seen Richard in jurisprudence, the last one, and many others that say that the dialogue is the most important thing, and I think that it is. No, in all these kind of things. Well, we need possession of information, diffusion, and acquisition if no one wants to hear us and to talk. Yeah, once again, which is the most important aim of the person? The person. And that's why to get together, to love, to people, to self-donation, well, this is just only possible with dialogue. In all these actions, the most important one, for me at least, is the last one. And all possession, diffusion, and acquisition are means to an aim, the aim of the dialogue. Well, let's talk about just a little. In each word, you will have here one chapter to read. The possession. the possession of the information that we have. For example, or DNA, this is information. Nowadays, there is a lot of laws talking about how to protect the genetic information, identity, and not just the thing that we have in our body, but also that we receive in our actions, in our mind, culture. That means culture. We have to protect that also. The moral patrimony. So it means, for example, if you work hard, alone 30 years, probably you will have some reputation, a good reputation as a good lawyer, for example, no? And that will be a patrimony, no? Well, the law should protect that because it's an asset, a very important asset with a great fame, good reputation. You can do a lot of things, much more than if you have no reputation at all and nobody knows you and nobody loves you. obviously you will be not able to do so many things. No? The distinct signs, well, the brand and this kind of things are part of the information that companies, for example, have the brands, no? And to promote themselves with some kind of reputation. It's also part of the possession of information that should be protected by the law. The secrets we talk about in the first part of this lesson about the secrets. No? We saw that sometimes it is a right, sometimes it is a duty, and sometimes it should be prohibited. We have the three possibilities. The information storage. Nowadays, there is a lot of laws, especially in the States and Europe, now a little more in some other place, about the databases. In some places, for example, in Italy, you have, if you will have a database, you have to ask to the state, because with information you can do good things and bad things that happened in the Second World War. The critical issue there was, once again, the Nazi regime. They tried to find the Jews in all kind of databases, no? And they discovered that you have this origin, they will persecute you. That's why nowadays there is a lot of care of privacy. On the other hand, that is another law that changed a lot with the Twin Towers attack. After that attack, the United States approved the Patriot Act that allows the government, the FDA, to get access to any email in the world. In fact, in the world. And they put a lot of sniffers to check which kind of emails have some specific words, and they will check that. Now there are new bills in the United States and around the world also trying to get access, for example, to Facebook, to WhatsApp, to all this kind of media. Yeah, and that's why they changed the rules, and that's why many people moves to Telegram and other apps, because they have to obey the new rules of the state. So there is a lot of things here. It's impossible to cover. You will read a little more, and it's better to have the principles, the aims, the values, because with that you will be able to resolve so many cases, so different and so new cases that will appear in the future. So let's talk about the diffusion. The diffusion, there you have the freedom of expression and the information law, the law of the journalist, for example, but not just of the newspapers, but also the how you should inform about science or history, or how advertising should be. So And finally, let's talk about the acquisition of the information. First, we create that, no? The creation is a way of acquisition of information. And there you have the whole copyright law, patent law, and the artworks, and the technique. Now, the technique is the patent law. And the right investigation is also regulated. You have each word deserves one chapter, and you will read it. In any case, you don't have to read all the chapters for this lecture. You will have all of them, but you will have to read just one section of the code. And the right access to information, we talk about that, the new resources that are around the world, education law, and also it's a way of acquisition information, and not just information, but also formation, the human form specifically, and the procedural law. Procedural law, for many people, it's so strange to see that. Why procedural law in communication law? Yeah, because the whole process is a process to find the truth of what is just. I don't know if you realize that the main objective of the goal of the process is the truth. We will talk about this, and we will check all that chapter next week, not this one. Okay, finally the dialogue. So after seeing that, we will spend our last minute with a challenge, with a test. What kind of test? Well, we have first remember that one of the limits of the communication was the principles, the objective limits, and a second one was the rights of the person. Remember, the rights of the person. What kind of rights? Well, limit of the communication are the rights of the people, for example, privacy. We read so many times privacy. I don't know if you think that there could be another: honor, fame, reputation, another right. Try to think to add one more. No one of you want to add any other right? Yes, Joy.
Freedom of expression.
Yeah, well, freedom of expression, but that's a limit of the message of the others, of the information of the others. Culture, well, freedom of expression sometimes. Children's rights, the right to peace. If you cannot promote the war. This is in many case law of human rights. Yeah, there are many people that say, well, freedom of expression, you can do many things. You can do many things. Even you can say that the constitution is bad, the laws are bad, that I don't agree with human rights. This, you have many case laws in Europe, in the States, around the world. You can say, I don't agree with this specific human right because it's, for me, the contrary. This is possible as part of freedom of expression, as Joy said. Very good. But there are also cases that say, well, you cannot promote specifically one war, one rebellion. The state will be able to punish you because you're promoting a crime, a specific crime. One thing is to say, well, I don't believe in that the state should be, democracy is good, but for me, it's better monarchy. Yeah, you can say that. But and what's quite different thing is to say, let's go to war and to establish monarchy. And I will help you. This is a promotion specific war, just not theoretical. There are two levels. Theoretical, you can say anything. But if you want to promote something, it's quite different. It's against the right to peace. This right is not so well developed, as I told you in jurisprudence. And non-discrimination, non-violence. Well, non-violence. This is not so easy. Non-violence. What is violence? Is this what violence is? I break your screen. It is. What is violence? What do you think that it could be violence? Yes, Tasnim.
So based on what we had learned in first year in tort, when we learned about battery, so in terms of battery, I would assume that violence is when a person feels a threat to their life or their being, and it's an immediate threat, and it's backed by some kind of danger, and they feel as though they are no longer safe, and it threatens their security.
Yeah, they are no longer safe. Yeah, many times it's difficult. Joy, do you want to add something?
I just wanted to say they are acts of aggression that are intended to hurt or damage someone or something.
Yeah, so it seems to be easy if someone attacks your body. Yeah, probably this is. But if they do just that, that is violence. Well, it's attacking your body. Theoretically, it seems to be so easy. Once again, you can repeat the thing about beauty. I don't know what is beauty, but when I saw a beautiful thing, I know what is beauty. No? Probably many times with violence, it happened also. But if you put, for example, in a movie, yeah, someone cutting the finger of one guy with a knife or with a scissors, or with a door. There is a scary movie that one guy loses the fourth part of the fingers with a door. That is violence or not? What do you think? And it's possible because remember, we are talking about restrictions here, restrictions, violence. Yes, Rosalind.
I think it is violence, but most times they warn you about what you're about to see. So.
Yeah, well, yeah, we cannot ban or yes. 50 years ago, you can ban that. And now, no, it's so typical to see that. So it is violence or not? That is interesting. Well, trying to be more precise with that, I brought this in the code. First, there are some elements that should be fulfilled to realize what kind of violence, probably that is violence, but what kind of violence we will allow, we have to see many things. First, the definition, the notion of violence should have, for me, these 4 elements. The physical force is used in an intense way. This is not violence. It should be physical force. Many treaties, many case law used to the physical. There is also a verbal violence, but it's not the same level. It's not the same level. Normally, violent content is physical, with physical content. The other things could be hate speech or many other things, but normally it's not in the violent content cases. Physical force is used in an intense way, first one. Such use is meant inappropriately contrary to a natural way of proceeding, no? Because I can swim, for example, and I put a lot of effort and I win the game, and the competence, and so the competition. But it is not violent. I put a lot of an intense force, a physical force, but should be in a different way. Torturing, for example, with torture, that is not normal. No? A living being or something beautiful is destroyed. Well, we have to destroy something in some way. No, it's shown in a bloody, crude, or brutal way. That is also part of violence. Many times, or you can show things, but without showing. Yeah. So probably this is not so violent. There should be measured also many things, no? The 4 elements, first one, but also the level of abnormality, and also, and the last one is so important. The last one is so important. What are the feelings of the audience? Remember, I told you, 50 years ago on television, people used to see just a little blood, and they will say, no, this should be banned. Nowadays, because we are accustomed to violent things. And every time, it's incredible. In the last 20 years, the level of violence on television, on internet is going higher and higher and higher and higher. The movies that we saw 30 years ago, for example, that was of terror, today seems to be cartoons, cartoons, because we are accustomed. And it is, I think that is not so good to be accustomed to every time more level of violence. The same happened in the revolutions, in the wars, and that's why the torture every time during the war is worse and worse and worse. People get accustomed to these kind of things. So now the test. I will put you some pictures and you will tell me if there is some kind of violence, and the question is, if you are the lawyer of that media, you will ask the journalist to not to publish it, or yes. Remember, you are the lawyer of CNN, for example, or BBC. You are the lawyer and they are asking you, can I publish these pictures? There are 2 pictures here. What you will answer? They are paying you a lot of money. And they know that if you give bad advice, you will be responsible as a lawyer, because these are photos of the Twin Towers attack. What do you think? Yes, Rosalind.
I tell them no because of the feelings that this kind of pictures will arouse in people, in the public.
You will say no. These were published. Try to think in all the things that I mentioned you during this lesson. Joy, yes.
I would agree with Roslyn. I would also say that they should not be published, basically because life is being destroyed from these images. You can see that life is being destroyed, and life is something beautiful. So I'd say it's violent, and in that sense, it should not be published.
Remember that I told you about one concept, and I stress out that is so important, that content in communication law. The concept, the notion of social interest. If there is some interest of the public to know about one fact, probably you could show a little more. You can say, on one hand, there is a lot of, well, it's a violent content, yes. Also, there is people, they have right to privacy, especially the privacy at the moment of the death is quite protected. But on the other hand, you have an event that will change the history of the humankind. I mentioned you some many things, no, about the jurisprudence in religious law. Now I mentioned and how the privacy. Collins, yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought we've moved on. So I would say I will publish this, but not force it down people's throats. So you publish and say that this is a violent content, and then people who desire to see it, like a class of people who want to see it, could easily access it, but then you don't force it down people's throats, for example, showing it on television or, you know, publishing it in the newspaper for the day or things like that. Yeah, people should actively seek for it.
I will say, and that happened, in fact, that happened, that you can, I'm not showing the face of the people here, first one. This is quite different, no? That was a great event. Many newspapers showed that, and no one of them around the world had responsibility. So this is one thing, no? If no one in the world have responsibility, probably they have some clue, no? This will be the same. Here is a little different, no? This one, but the last one probably you publish in a short size will be able, without showing who is that guy. Because if you show who is that guy, what will happen? It will cause a lot of suffer in his family, and the family will sue you, But these kind of things that were public, absolutely public. Also, the crash of the plane against the tower. There's a lot of violence there. A lot of violence. No, many people dying at that time, and then more will die after that. So that's why you can publish photos of the war. You can publish. Well, any war is a lot of violence because there is a social interest to know these kind of things. But when there is no social interest, you cannot publish that. Okay, so things are not so easy. You can think about whatever you want. This guy, this is in Tibet. What happened in Tibet? Well, there was as you know, the Tibet was invaded by China, and they consider that they should be free. And the Tibetanian, there is a Tibetanian protester that set himself on fire at a protest in the Indian capital, well, prior to the Chinese president's visit. 30 of these people set himself on fire. So 30, no? So Dalai Lama also spoke about this, saying, well, this so bad, the Chinese impositions and so on. You will publish the last or this one or not? Obviously, it's so easy to say no, better to not, no, and you will be safe, no, because if there is some liability, you say no, I say no. But unconscious, you will be able to publish this picture or not? What do you think? 30 people, yes, Jangli.
I think greater good is achieved in publishing this picture because it gives awareness, just like the Arab Spring started when a man in Egypt set himself ablaze because of the dictatorship of the Mubarak regime during I think it was the 80s. So this gave the revolutionary motivation across all Arab countries, where they overturned the dictatorial governments and placed it somewhere better version of ruling. So I think one should look at the greater picture. This man, to reach this kind of action, he wants attention. He wants his name to be heard. So I think we are doing him justice by
remember that I told you, you have to take care about the feeling of the people first, of the same people. If this guy is doing that, what he wants to show to the world that I don't agree with the Chinese regime, and feelings. And when you see this, you can show violence without a violent content. I think that he is dying peacefully. I don't know. It seems to be it also seems to be Photoshop here, but not. It is real. It is real. It's quite different if you show 1 hour after that, showing all the body open and burned. It's quite different. I will never publish that. This I will say yes, it is possible. And how the people react, the people. Well, so easy, no? This is a Pulitzer. Well, I have not time to explain that. That in Vietnam, precisely in Vietnam, with this, when she was a child, the Vietnamese throw a bomb with a lot of things. Well, so, and she had now to make so many surgeries to recover. Imagine 40 years after that, even more. Well, so it is, and that was a photo. You can see, well, this is a child, children's right, and also is naked. So many things. Probably I will not publish that photo, but in any case, it gained a Pulitzer prize. Incredible, because was against war. Was against war. Another, this one also is violent. Yes, it was the escape from Syria. Many people passed away trying to escape from a very problematic conflict in the war. Well, yes, I think that this obviously is violent. It's violent because we are using children. But how do people receive this photo? First, with compassion, not with the sense of, whoa, something strange. First, with compassion. Second, if you saw at that time the interview with the parents, they feel comfortable with that photo. Why? They say, well, I had suffered a lot. At least the world is hearing me, hearing my sufferings, hearing the sufferings of my family. So the family agree. The society realized that this was good to promote things against war. So the final conclusion was good. The feelings of the people, the interests of the people, and the rights of the people. Three things that we have to see. This, Nigeria, Christian president was elected, and many, 500 people were killed. Bon, you will publish this? I will say no. Not at that, because you can see many things of the people here inside, and this is too violent. If I'm the lawyer of this newspaper, I will say, well, let's cut that part, and let's put in a not big size, but in a small size, probably because 500 people died because a terrorist attacked, because they were Christians. No, I think that these have a lot of social interest. Okay, so you can see it's not so always so easy to resolve these kind of things, but at least we have the concepts, or the whole concepts, we will be able to get some solution. Well, but for today, it's enough.